Today I'll be reviewing the Samson Q9U. Inside the box, you get the microphone and both USB Type-C to Type-C and USB Type-C to Type-A cables, plus a dual layer windscreen. The microphone retails for $199 US. It's a solid die-cast construction with an integrated yoke mount and a massive weight of 2.13 pounds. The mic boasts a dynamic capsule with humbuckling coil and neodymium magnet, a cardioid polar pattern, 1/8 inch output, zero latency headphone monitoring jack, low cut filter, mid presence boost, and mute controls. The frequency response of the microphone is 50 hertz to 20 kilohertz. Now it's time to perform a plosive test. I'm approximately 4 inches away from the front of the microphone. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Now I'm approximately 2 inches from the microphone. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. When you podcast with a co-host in person, you want to make sure that their speech is not bleeding into the microphone. That's why you want a good microphone that is great at rejecting off-axis noises. Here's what the side of the microphone sounds like from 4 inches away. Here's what it sounds like talking into the back of the microphone from approximately 4 inches away. Now I'm on the Rodecaster Pro. There's no cloud lifter in between, no processing whatsoever on, no gating, nothing. And I'm going to ramp it up to 100, and you'll get to hear how this microphone sounds when I have to push the gain all the way to 100. You've heard how the microphone sounds via the Rodecaster Pro with no processing turned on. Now I'm going to hook it up via USB and see if we can match it. I've hooked up the microphone via USB, and now here's how it sounds. Is it comparable to having it running through the Rodecaster Pro? I'm going to engage the mute button, and we'll see if we can hear it being engaged or not via USB, or if it's seamless. That's the Samson Q9U in USB mode. I'm going to go back to the Rodecaster Pro. What would a microphone review be without a few comparisons? So this is the Samson Q9U via XLR. Now this is what the Zoom ZDM1 sounds like. This is a $80 microphone. Sometimes you can find it on sale for $60. But here's how it sounds in comparison to the Samson Q9U. Now I'm back on the Samson Q9U. And now I'll engage the mid-presence boost. Here's how the Samson Q9U sounds with the mid-presence boost on. How does it sound in comparison to the Zoom ZDM1? I'm going to turn the mid-presence boost off. Now the mid-presence boost is off again. Now I'm going to engage the low-cut filter. Now here's how it sounds with the mid-presence boost off and the low-cut filter engaged. How does it sound in comparison to having this turned off, but having the mid-presence boost on? Now I'll engage the mid-presence boost as well. How does it sound now with the low-cut filter on and the mid-presence boost on as well? How does it sound with the different settings that I've used? Now I'm going to turn it back to flat mode, talking to it for a minute, and then we'll get in another microphone. Now I've disengaged both switches, and I'm going to switch to another microphone to see how it sounds. Now I'm on the Rode Procaster. How does it sound in comparison to the Samson Q9U? This is a $239 microphone, so not very much more than the $200 Samson Q9U. How does this sound in comparison? I'm going to switch back to the Q9U, and then I'll engage some of the switches so you can get a variety of sounds. All right, I am back on the Samson Q9U, and here's how it sounds in flat mode. Now I'm going to engage the mid-presence boost. Here it is now with the mid-presence boost on. How does it sound in comparison to the Rode Procaster? Now I'm going to engage the low cut. I have both the mid-presence boost and the low cut on. How does it sound in comparison to the Rode Procaster? I'm going to switch them both back off, talk for a little bit, and then we'll get into the final comparison. I'm back on the Q9U in flat mode, and here's how it sounds. I'm going to compare it to one last microphone, the Shure SM7B. Now I'm on the Shure SM7B, and here's how it sounds in comparison to the Samson Q9U. I'll switch back to the Q9U and flip the switches one more time, and then I'll get into my pros, cons, and final thoughts. So here I am back on the Samson Q9U, and here's how it sounds in flat mode in comparison to the Shure SM7B. Is it half as good as the Shure SM7B? Let me know down in the comments, but I'm gonna click on the mid-presence boost real quick. Now I'm back on the Q9U with the mid-presence boost turned on and the low cut off. And here's how it sounds. I'm going to engage the low cut as well, and we'll see how that sounds in comparison. All right, now I have both switches engaged, and here's how it sounds. Low cut and mid-presence boost. Both switches are engaged. And also, I'm going to click this mute button to see how this sounds via XLR. Can you hear me pressing the mute button? That's going to do it for the comparisons. Let me know down in the comments which microphone you think sounded better than the Samson Q9U, and then which settings did you like best. As far as the pros go, this microphone is versatile, allowing you to connect to your mixer interface via XLR or go straight into your computer via USB. When connected via USB, having the headphone jack and the mute button are nice additions. Being able to engage the mute button while connected via XLR is nice. The option for a low cut or a mid presence boost gives you some flexibility when trying to tailor your sound. In USB mode, this microphone is truly plug and play with no need to download drivers or anything like that. With this solid die-cast construction, this thing is built like a tank. And with a little processing, I was able to use this microphone during some of my podcasts, and nobody seemed to notice. As far as the cons go, the yoke mount out of the box is upside down for my particular setup. Now, these caps come off, and there's some screws underneath there, but it seemed like a process that I did not want to undertake. At $200, I feel like I would save up more money and go to that top tier of dynamic microphones like the Shure SM7B or the Electro Voice RE20 Hio PR40. But that's just my personal opinion. I also dislike this flat head on the windscreen. I felt like it was catching more wind plosives with this windscreen on as opposed to having one that's more rounded. These seem to disperse wind better than having this flat head on it. And remember, at over 2 pounds, you're going to need a decent boom or mic desk stand in order to handle this well-constructed, heavy microphone. Overall, this microphone's construction appears to be rock solid. However, I don't know how long this mute button is going to hold up, but I really can't fault this construction-wise outside of the weird yoke orientation for my particular setup. And the microphone looks great. It definitely has the on-camera look. The microphone performed pretty well against plosives and sibilants when compared to some of the other microphones. At $200, if you need the versatility of both USB and XLR connectivity, the Samson Q9U might be the right microphone for you. But what do you think? Chime in down in the comments below. Can this cheap sub $50 audio interface drive this microphone? Subscribe to my channel to find out. Thank you.